My topic for today would be, as you have introduced me, the failings of criminal justice system in case of environmental crimes through the lens of G. Becker's theory of crime. So that will be the input of American thoughts of economical law analysis. And I would like to focus on a case study of Poland, which is the field of my research in my PhD thesis. That's why I thought it would be opportune to present it, because I think the findings are quite interesting and pertinent to those who actually live in Poland, because that would be the quite a vital aspect. So in my presentation, I would like to introduce the topic briefly. Then I would like to present the problem with prosecution of environmental criminality with focus on Poland. And then I would like to show what Gary Becker's model of crime prevention is all about. Then I would like to show how this is applicable to the case of environmental criminality. I think it's actually quite applicable as opposed to different crimes, which I will cover a bit. And I'd like to make conclusive remarks regarding the possibilities of actually employing these conclusions from G. Becker's model in actual legal reality, not only in Poland, but also in Europe, because as I will show briefly, the problem is not exclusive to Poland, but it's actually a problem which is universal, and I will tell why in a second. So as a word of introduction, as a matter of course, the environment has to be protected, and it is protected by every branch of law, that is civil law, but also public law. It is protected by public law because the civil law does not suffice. It is a problem which is widespread. The victims are not always known. The problems are also not readily apparent. So that is why we need public law regulation on the protection of environment. And well, there is a question whether we should use the penal law or just administrative law. From my perspective, both these orders have to be employed in order to protect environment in a right way. That is to say, we need administrative law and we need criminal law to protect environment and people's lives along with it in a proper form. That is why I arrive at the point that from my, I think this is the focal point, that's the criminality, environmental criminality is thing which is necessary in every single crime system. And then we move to the practicality of pursuing environmental crime. So there is a problem with that, not only in Poland, but there are reports from all over Europe, and as far as I'm concerned, also from the US, that the system of environmental crimes and the prosecution is underperforming. Why is that? Well, the problem is that the environmental crimes, apart from these really media catching attention ones, that is to say, for example, oil spillage, are relatively not very hot in case of media coverage. The fact that people incinerate the trash in the yards, or that some factory emitted some gases, but that is not really a topic to be very clickbaiting, which is why there is not much political cachet to save on combating the environmental crimes in the case of political aspects of it. But this is an erroneous way to see it, because as if we compare statistics, for example, every single year, because of the bad pollution, air pollution in Poland, die approximately 44,000 people, which is more than amount of people who die in car accidents, and is about the same amount of people who are reported to have deceased from COVID-19, which shows that the problem is there, and it is a pertinent one, but it does not get enough political coverage, and because of that, it's not really in the spotlight from the legislative point of view. And then we have to admit that individually, crime against environment, especially those small ones like as I mentioned, incinerating waste in our courtyard is relatively light crime. It is nothing compared to rape, nothing compared to murder, nothing compared to even burglary. But if we compound these environmental crimes in a mass, then we can see the problem. When taken in general, the environmental crimes may actually create more victims than the more serious crimes I have mentioned before. So this is a problem of optics of political system, of judicial system, to see these crimes as lighter. But this is the case. Judges and prosecutors alike tend to think about these crimes as being minor, as being not really interesting, not worth their times. Having worked with prosecutors, having worked with judiciary, I could see that they do not really take these crimes seriously. They did not even have much to say about the interpretation of the
Something happened, and I don't know if only it's my error of my computer or internet connection, or
No, not only you.
okay. Yeah. I guess he had some uh, problems with connection, so let's wait just for a little bit, maybe a few more minutes, and I hope the problems will be resolved.
hello.
Hello, hello. Now we can hear you.
Yes, hello. I just had a power outage, so I had to relaunch my internet. So, sorry for that.
No
I
problem.
did not really expect that. May I resume?
Can you
Excuse
can you
me.
repeat? Can you repeat?
May I continue?
Of course, of course.
Sure. Thank you. And I have to share my screen again, and that would be okay. Great. Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Great. So I'm not sure where I got cut off, but I have to, I suppose, do a shorter version of it. To sum up the underperformance of justice system in tackling the environment criminality, I have to also mention the low detection rates of environmental crimes. which is due to the fact that first, as I've mentioned, it's not really interesting to judiciary, and also it is a bit difficult to detect these crimes because there are no victims in case of these crimes mostly, and so nobody will really report them. It's really about either the vigilance of police or vigilance of citizens, but they would have to report the crimes which do not always pertain to them. So this is also a bit of a hindrance in case of detecting. So then going on to the Becker model, it shows a bit why the system of crime prevention is underperforming and what we could do about that. The model itself predicates that there will always be criminality of some kind when the gains from a crime are more than the punishment which will be accorded to a person who perpetrates the crime times the probability of being detected. So in other words, Becker thought that the criminal will always make a mental calculus in his head. He will compute whether it pays off to be a criminal. If he or she thinks that he will gain more than he will lose, then he will commit this crime. Of course, this model is predicated upon the assumption that all people who act are rational beings. So this is the Homo economicus assumption here. But as erroneous this assumption may be in case of other crimes, I think it may be very adequate in case of environmental crimes because, well, let's face it, the environmental crimes are never the crimes which are committed by because of some other reasons than the material ones. People who pollute always have a gain in mind. They either want to economize on, for example, incinerating worse fuel in order to save money, or in case of higher profile polluters, they will try to circumvent certain limitation. They will try to produce, for example, products while polluting. So I would say that always there is some sort of gain, some sort of economic calculus in case of environmental crimes, which makes it perfect to be applied. It makes it perfect to apply the Becker's model of crime prevention, because then we have to set the punishments and the probability of imposing them so that these punishments and this probability equals the gains that perpetrators of crimes may gain. This is of course a bit difficult to assess, but it's not impossible. And when we put this together with what we have in Poland, we can see that our legislator acts completely in reverse to these principles, because our current law is full of is really unclear. So it's very difficult to actually sentence anyone for environmental crimes. Secondly, the focus of police is very low upon this, and whenever even the crime of environmental kind gets to the court, the courts will dismiss them, or they will impose very lenient crimes upon their perpetrators. If we think about the Becker's model in this case, we will see that what should be done is increase of detecting of crimes. So the funds should be diverted to police, to courts, in order to tackle these problems. And this would be economically advisable because of the high level of externalities which these crimes generate. Because, as I've mentioned, they cause over 40,000 people to die each year. The level of externalities is really high, so it warrants to divert funds to prevent these crimes, which is not happening. So the one conclusion which we should draw, it would be to divert funds to police and to prosecutors and to courts in order to first educate them about the problem and then induce them to detect these crimes better and more frequently. And secondly, because the environmental crimes are inherently difficult to detect, from Becker model, there results a conclusion that also the crimes should be more severe, because even with highest ambitions and highest willingness on the part of police, there will be many environmental crimes which will go undetected. So the probability of detection will be low. So in order for it to equal the gains from the crimes, the severity of crimes should be high enough in order to equal the gains from environmental criminality. So from my point of view, and also as a future member of judiciary, judges should actually impose more severe crimes in cases of environmental crimes, in order to deter people better from committing them, in order to make people fear committing these crimes, and to think that the commitment of these crimes is not really beneficial to them, also from economical standpoint. So that would be the conclusion of which we can draw from this model. Well, I just hope that because my research is partly devoted to that, I hope that when I publish, the legislator will maybe read these conclusions. Maybe he will act on it, and maybe he will make this more possible to prevent these crimes from being committed, and so that we can in Poland have a better air, because at the moment we enjoy some of the worst air in Europe. So this situation could be mitigated with the use of a theoretical framework that I've just presented. Thank you very much for your time and for the possibility of presenting here. I'm so sorry for my technical issue, which I've experienced during the presentation. Thank you.